Kevin Stefanski talked about if he's comfortable that they've built the right culture, also the difference between the defense at home, which was really good, and on the road, which struggled pretty much all season.
It's hard because these teams are different year to year. I mean, every single team has turnover. That's the NFL. So you have core things that you believe in your culture. You have core things that you believe in when it comes to your roster, and then there's core guys that are leaders for this football team that we'll be counting on.
Can you use this year though as a foundation for what you want you guys to look defensively in the future?
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think I don't want to lose sight of how good we were on defense this season. Historic, and I think Coach Schwartz and the defensive staff did an outstanding job implementing the system in year one. Some really good moments for us and some young players that we're excited about.
Kevin, you guys gave up 13.9 points per game at home, over 31 on the road. We haven't had a differential like that in the NFL in 40 years. What do you make of it?
Something you're going to have to give me some time. I think we got to pull that apart and look at it. I mean, it is something that you have to get to the bottom of, and we'll look at it.
Yeah, and Jeff, that's going to be some long nights trying to figure that one out because something's there.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at it in some of these losses on the road. You got to keep in mind, P.J. Walker, obviously, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, those guys started the Seattle. They started the Denver game. Obviously, not the best Browns quarterbacks this season by far. Joe Flacco, the game in L.A. was his first start. Keep in mind the Los Angeles Rams were also a playoff team. Obviously, we're able to, really get it going down the second half of the season. When you talk about that Seattle and that whole, the Denver, Los Angeles time, Mosley, although Myles Garrett was injured during that time, the shoulder wasn't right. The injuries were starting to mount up a little bit. But you certainly got to play more consistent. Obviously it's great that this team went 8-1 and, at home. It's definitely a statement to, obviously the fan base, the stadium, the culture. Obviously, these guys get really, really revved up. But, the good teams, and, this was something that was going to happen for the Browns. And maybe something that a lot of us didn't cover enough is that this team wasn't successful enough on the road. And most likely for them to hopefully go on this long playoff run we were all maybe envisioning or hoping for. It most likely would have been nothing but, obviously, road games before they got to the Super Bowl. I think we're all still a little stung. And I think, for once in our lives, I think we're not surprised that they didn't, that they lost. I think we're surprised that we all just had higher expectations. Most people, was, hey, let's get ready and, turn on the Browns game and, let's see when, basically the part is where people reach out to us with sympathy. Wasn't the case here the way this team played this year. And, certainly Saturday and everybody looking forward to it. And obviously the crowd down in Houston and just how electric they were actually inside the stadium, when it still was a game. But look, there's always work to be done. There's always, room for improvement. No one's going to cry about the injuries. A lot of teams are injured this time of year, obviously. And you look at games that just happened over the weekend. A lot of guys who will be, on teams that'll be moving on, have been lost. But the future is bright. The culture is where you want it to be. And, I truly think that, the days and the laughter and the jokes about this franchise are well in the past.